See, we got another one. This scenario is it's weird because I have to like change some things, right? And I do, as far as like how it meshes with the story. It's just what it is, all right? Because I needed to make this video too, because people want to know Blackbeard versus Whitebeard, but post time skip when he's a Yonko already, and he basically, Edward Teach or not Edward Teach, but Marshall D Teach, Blackbeard has risen up the ranks, and he's like one of these, he's caught guard, but he what he actually did was defeat Traffy. You know, he has the girl and the Yami in this scenario. This is post time skip. This is current Blackbeard essentially, right? Who's done all those things and now has experience being a Yonko, like in the position that Whitebeard was in. He's actually making like man, he's making more moves. Um, Believe it or not. So with that being said, Whitebeard is still an old man. This is still prime Whitebeard, or not prime Whitebeard's day today. This is old man Whitebeard. Now I'll talk about that in another video, next week or not next week on Sunday, y'all. On Sunday I got y'all with that one. This is old man Whitebeard versus Blackbeard. How he is now currently, basically in his prime. So guess what? Blackbeard has the physical strength here. He has two devil fruits now. He can turn off, Whitebeard's devil fruit and then show him how he uses the devil fruit in his other hand. He's fighting against Whitebeard like that. Whitebeard's gonna, really, feel it. Those strikes are not fucking weak anymore. You know, strength wise, he can, really, fuck up the landscape. And I'm not saying Whitebeard can't, but the thing here is Teach, this version of Teach, he has both devil fruits. He can turn Whitebeard's off and still use his. He has that kind of control over the two devil fruits of that. That shit's crazy, man. I don't think he can handle that. Like he's not as strong as like what he can do with those devil fruits. He can cause a lot more disruption with that. Even with it just being, striking power necessarily, Whitebeard has, lifting strength. He was throwing around giants and shit. Blackbeard don't do shit like that. You know, you could have Whitebeard winning this shit still, man. It's actually still close, kind of, in that category. But when it comes to speed, it's still Whitebeard. And I do have Whitebeard still. He's fat and like, man, he's fucking slow, man. He is. He, man, he's also like sneaky and shit too. This ain't gonna be an easy fight, but they're going into this already knowing each other. It's not one of these things. He knows he wants to fight Whitebeard. He knows he wants to fight. Um, Teach. Blackbeard wants to fight. Whitebeard. Whitebeard wants to fight him. Oh, we got Blackbeard with the endurance this time. He has two devil fruits to back him up, and he's gonna, fuck him up like the best way he can. He's gonna be hitting him with everything. Powerful quake attacks, and nullifying his devil fruit so he can't get off his quake attacks. He's gonna be relying on hockey, and in his old age, it's not as, not as powerful as it used to be. If that makes sense. But it still helps him out. But I think Blackbeard can outlast that. This Blackbeard that we have to see or we know about. He took down Trafalgar Law. I know he's not a big player, but he's somebody who got $3 billion on his head. That's worth something too. 3 billion is nothing to sneeze at, son. But you could even give that to Whitebeard if you wanted to. I wouldn't be upset. Because old man Whitebeard was still running around with the admirals and all that shit. I got Blackbeard still. Intelligence, I got Blackbeard. You know, he knows about Newgate. You know, he got like the information on him, and now he has two devil fruits. He can, shut that shit down way better. We'll have experience going to Whitebeard still. Whitebeard still has all the experiences he had in life, and then bringing that to this fight, it helps him stay in the fight. But it also, shows that, Teach can come up with a plan to, like, all, like, combat all that shit he shows, and it's true. You know, Blackbeard has, the close skills, the range skills. He has the close skills and the range skills. The close skills is close though. You could give that shit to Whitebeard if you wanted to. But like I said, with the devil fruits, coming into play, he's really like giving him the fucking hands this time because he has the quakes in his hands now. And better devil fruit mastery than he had before. We got Blackbeard with the close skills and range skills. Recoup too. Whitebeard again. Old man Whitebeard was sick. Now he could still fight, but he was really pushing himself. That's why he ended up dying after his fourth. I'll make another video. I'll make other videos about this shit next week. Yeah, or not next week, but on Sunday. Sunday is the beginning of the week. We'll say that, right? But we got Blackbeard, right? For the environment. Those hacks. He's turning on Whitebeard's devil fruit. Whitebeard can't. He's not controlling like how these quakes are forming and shit. So now Blackbeard is. He's gonna make sure he has stable ground to stand on and shit like that. See, they'll fight on Hachinosu. They'll just fight there. Whitebeard's been there before, but Blackbeard knows that place best, so he's gonna win that. But that being said, this is gonna shock some heads, turn some heads. But Blackbeard Teach wins against Old Man Whitebeard. High to extreme diff. Just like how the other one was, but it's reversed. The results are different now. Blackbeard's, putting some time and effort into like expanding, his, pirate crew. He's moving just as fast as Luffy towards some shit. And in his ambitions or desires are more grandiose than Luffy's in some ways to some people, or to himself. He's trying to become king of the world and have One Piece. But Whitebeard was able to still say, but this ain't that fight, y'all. This is Whitebeard versus Blackbeard. And guess what? Whitebeard loses this time. Blackbeard has two devil fruits, mastery over him to decent degree. He ain't fast either. Like, trust me, I know that. But even with the lack of speed, he still has hands, and he also has those great hacks. And Whitebeard's still gonna make him fight. That's why it's hard to extreme diff. But this time, two devil fruits. That's still like shit you don't want to fuck around with. Yeah, that's why the world don't like fucking with Blackbeard. They like, man, he has two devil fruits, nigga. He has Whitebeard's devil fruit and the one he stole from that. But that's, the second fight. Old man Whitebeard versus, current Blackbeard. So be cool, Gordon. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. And then on Sunday, I'll get you another one.